The basis of what we wanted to say, we wanted to show the point of view of the person who does those things, because a lot of times when you see that sort of story, you see it from the victim's point of view, the person who is getting harassed via social media, but we really wanted to show why does a person do that? What brings a person to that point? What makes a person capable of doing such hurtful things to people without any really care? The film was written by Tina Doe, and she wrote the script last semester, and it was chosen from a number of submissions by Yaki, and then over the Christmas break, he and her revised it and got it ready for class, and then when the crew got chosen and I got chosen to be the director, it was given to me, and me and Tina sat down, and we had weeks of rewriting. You know, at first I was reading a draft and then giving notes, and Tina would go and she would rewrite, and then I would take it, read it, write more notes, give it to her. At one point, we gave it to the class, and that's how we had been working, and the class didn't really respond well. They said it's still not working, but I talked to her and I talked to Yaki, and I got the okay to write a whole draft, and Yaki read it and he said, "No, it's too much. Let's combine Tina's draft and your draft." And basically, still, 7 drafts later, that was the draft, and I think that's what it needed to be. It needed to be something that was my vision and Tina's vision, and I think it turned out well. Casting is one of my favorite parts of the process.
It was stacked. We had, I think at one point there were upwards of 50 applicants, I guess, that wanted to all come out and audition.
We ended up with 3 fantastic actors. Caroline Ellis plays Jessica, and she was so good. She's mature beyond her years. She's only 16. She's been homeschooled her whole life, but she plays this broken high schooler, and it was so incredible. I would just give her a note and she'd be like, "Yeah, got it," and she did, and it was great. Chris Floyd plays Tyler. He is so great. We, as soon as he came in and did his audition and left, we all were like, "Oh yeah, that's the guy." And then Zoe is played by Haley Baldwin, and she was my first pick for Zoe. Initially, Zoe was supposed to be kind of darker, and Jessica was supposed to be a little more bubbly, and blonde and preppy. But when we made Jessica the dark one, and we thought that she needed to be juxtaposed by Zoe, so we made Zoe more bubbly, and Haley totally captured that, and she was great.
And action.
The first day was the school shoot. It was Plano East High School. This was, going into it, was going to be our most difficult day. We knew that going in. Typically, you don't want to schedule your biggest, your hardest day one, but because of scheduling and where everything fell, we had to do that. We had something like 20 plus actors on set. We had 20 crew members at one point on set, so there was a lot of people. How's Gabe going in the classroom? Over.
I cannot find Gabe. Over.
He's not in the classroom? Over. It started off a little bumpy. We had some issues with our gaffer.
Day 1 started at 6 a.m. with myself and my camera crew, which is Mason, my DP, Jordan, my AC, and Kevin, my cameraman, along with Gabe, my gaffer. Were meant to pick up all the camera equipment and all the lighting equipment. We would take it, the camera crew would take the camera equipment, and Gabe would take his stuff. But at 6 a.m. at this school, Gabe didn't show up. And one thing I have to say about Gabe is that after the first day, after his mess up, he really performed well. He understood that he made a mistake and he corrected it. He was always there when I needed him and trying his hardest, and things kept happening to him, but he was really good.
In the end, because we were able to move some stuff around and make it where the scenes where he had to light and everything were a little further back in the day. We had a time limit as well. We had to be out of the school by 5, so that kind of accelerated our schedule. We had a lot to shoot.
I'll say one thing. each day of filming, Yaki would show up at random times and just to check on us, just to make sure everything's running smoothly.
You know, honestly, whenever he came onto set, it seemed like everyone on the crew, from director on down, just seemed to tense up a little bit whenever he was on set. Everyone kind of, you know, now we have eyes on us. But even then, I think he was still very, he was as hands off as he could be. His director mentality, you know, wanted to step in and kind of correct different things that we were doing that we didn't see because, you know, we've never been on a project this big.
Good. Cut.
There was this great moment, not great from my point of view, but great looking at it later, where I wrapped a scene and everything's great, and we're like, hey, we just did our first school scene and it's awesome, everybody's happy, or the first chemistry scene, and everybody's walking away, people are doing costume changes and makeup changes and moving the camera, and Yaki pulls me over and just like,
A lot of Zoe's reactions we kind of leave out. Because we don't want to sympathize with her too soon. We don't want to be on her side too soon. And this is the first chemistry scene.
I'm just saying, like, you know, if you're talking to me as you over, you're in the conversation, what's my reaction to that? Do I just like turn away, or do I kind of look like what I'm doing?
Yeah.
And I think right now you don't really have that, and I think it's good to have it because even if you don't use it, at least you have it, and it takes 1 second.
Okay. You think from the same angle? I think so. All right. We just sent everybody away.
Wait, did we?
One more time.
I knew it. Okay.
Everybody back.
In the end, we were able to get everything shot and filmed, and we got out of there on time, and luckily nobody got hurt. And so it was a pretty productive day, all things considered.
And action. Second action.
Day 2 was set to be a little bit of a valley in terms of the mountains and valleys of shooting. It was supposed to be easier. It started off well. We got moving. I think at one point we were about 2 hours in. We were about an hour ahead of time schedule, so that was nice. We were moving at a good pace. And then very unexpected rain happened.
and that was a scene. We were all inside while, because the scene we were doing was in Jessica's room, and we had a window next to her bed, and we were trying to make it seem like nighttime when it was actually daytime.
We had our lighting guys outside the house setting up a shot, and they got caught in the rain.
Everything was going so well. I know, right?
That's okay. It's okay. This is why we were on schedule. So bad things could happen. It's okay.
And the rain lasted for about 30 minutes. We had 4 or 5 people outside with tarps in the pouring rain, trying to protect these lights and also not be electrocuted and get hurt and possibly die on set. So that really started to kill us. It started to push us back.
And it's pouring down rain, and we have, each department has a walkie-talkie, so we're in there like, hey Gabe, you all right? And he's just, and for all we know, they're drowning and dying, and it's hilarious.
Once the rain finally did stop, we were able to get back on schedule again, started moving at a good clip. Then we found out that the house that we were shooting in, we were originally supposed to be there till 1 in the morning. We found out at our break, our meal time, that we had to be out by 10. So at that point we had about 2.5 hours to shoot, what we expected to be another 5-6 hours. So once again, accelerated pace. We had to start merging scenes together, making things, trying to figure out what was necessary, what we could get rid of to help accelerate that pace. Eventually we got out when we needed to be, but once again, what was expected to be a rather, not easy day, but a lighter day, it had its issues, but we were ultimately able to overcome those.
And action.
So day 3 was a challenge from the beginning, from the moment that I got on set. As soon as I got there, we had an instant issue when we went to set our lights up. We blew a fuse in the house.
And the whole house lost power. So then, again, for 2 hours, people are trying to figure that out. They're flipping breakers and plugging lights in, and Yaki has to come down and talk us through and kind of give us this little lecture about how we should have known all the technicalities of the power for this house beforehand.
But that was the electricity issue hung over our heads the entire time we were there. That being said, we still were able to get everything we needed to have done.
Our last shot wasn't actually there. We had kind of one more location, and that was a UTA bathroom where we had to shoot 2 bathroom scenes. So we got there at like 2 o'clock, and it took us an hour to do 2 scenes, and we wrapped at 3:03 in the morning, and it was a hell of a feeling. We all felt really proud and amazing, and it was a great feeling, and it was the best feeling just to finish and to give high fives and hugs, and we were all exhausted, and we had to wait together at the school while the footage got put onto a hard drive, and we were all just sitting there patting each other on the back, and it felt great.
Looking back at the class, it was definitely an experience. It was a lot of work. It wasn't easy, and you're not expecting this to be easy when you're in film school, and working with all these people, having all these different opinions, all these different minds coming together. It was challenging at times. It definitely was never completely smooth, but it was an experience that I think really gave me a lot of insight on how to move forward and what to do differently. But to say anything to anyone else, and future students and people that take this class, do your work. Pay attention. Don't be afraid to ask Yaki questions, or whoever is teaching the class, don't be afraid to ask questions. If you don't know something, the worst thing to do is to just kind of keep that to yourself. Always ask questions, and don't be afraid to get your opinion out there, especially when you're with all these people. Sometimes people that are older than you or who have more experience. Don't be afraid to get your voice in there. The worst thing you could do is sit and not say anything.